In this video, we are going to be moving on to topic number 2A, which is architectural print reading. So this is something that will take time as well. If you've never really experienced reading architectural print, it's really not that hard once you get the hang of it, but it does take a little bit of time to get used to knowing where to look to find the information that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and start by opening File Explorer. And I'm going to actually look at a project today called Manhattan and Associates. It's 6416. It's a newer project that we have just really barely started scratching the surface on. But we're going to be taking a look at this one because it has some good examples of what you would expect to see from an architectural drawing set. So to get to the architect's drawings, you're going to go to the job folder to start. You're going to go over to Drawings next, and then Architectural. And then you can see there's a mass number of drawings within this folder. So this particular job does have the plumbing, the mechanical, and it looks like the electrical prints mixed in here as well as the architectural prints. So that's not too bad. What we're going to do is we're going to start by going over some of the terminology that we're going to see within architectural drawings. So whenever you're dealing with architectural drawings, you pretty much want to start with what's called either the construction plan, the partition plan, or the floor plan. These are all interchangeable terminology, like sort of names for these items. An architect, depending on who the architect is, may call it something different, but these are generally like the about three names you're going to see. So construction plan, floor plan, or partition plan. This particular architect refers to these as construction plans. So what that is, if you open that up, it is going to be the overall floor plan of the building. This actually is broken into 3 sections for this floor because it's a really big building. They have it as level 10, A, B, and C. But if you look at a floor plan, here's what we're going to see. So we're going to see all the walls from the top down, all the furniture, all the cabinets, all the counters, anything that's related to the top-down view. So we are going to be kind of exploring that here shortly. So we got partition plan there. Some other types of things that you're going to see are reflected ceiling plan. Reflected ceiling plan is sort of like the construction plan, but you're looking up at the ceiling versus looking at the floor. So let's open up level 10A reflected ceiling plan so you can see what we're talking about here. So this is the exact same part of the building as that floor plan we just looked at. This is what's going on the ceiling above. So reflected ceiling plans are really important for when you're drawing something that goes floor to ceiling. It will give you information about how high the ceilings are in each part of the building. For example, like this area here, they're saying is 9 feet tall. It looks like 9 feet tall, 9 feet tall. Pretty consistent across the board. There's a 1 8-foot piece of ceiling here and a 9-foot in the middle. So it does vary a little bit from room to room. You got to pay attention to that. Sometimes you might have panels on a ceiling. You might have some kind of a ceiling element that you have to draw. And this is where the reflected ceiling plan really comes into play, is you want to make sure that you are using the correct ceiling and wall heights from floor to ceiling. So the reflected ceiling plan will give you all the information you need to draw it based on that. So let's go back to the floor plan, or sorry, the architectural files. We will skip over the power and data plan, although you may need to look at that to look for where the outlets are located occasionally. We never actually supply any of the electrical work or the lighting or any of that. However, if you wanted to, you could look at this and visualize exactly where they're planning on putting outlets or light fixtures in the building. So that is the power data plan. Again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it because usually that does not pertain to us very much. All right. Next up, the finish plan. Finish plan level 10, area A. Finish plans are very, very similar to construction plans or floor plans. Finish plans, though, are going to show you what the floor finish is. So, like in this case, this says this is carpet 2, carpet 1. Let's see, anything else? It's all carpet, isn't it? Oh, here we go. So this is tile floor, TLO1. And sometimes you will actually also see other notes here as well, like TLB. If I looked at the finish schedule for the job, TLB is most likely tile base. So tile base trim that goes around the room. So we have tile floor and tile base trim in this room. Now the PT2 that's on here, PT2 is going to be the wall paint. So what the walls are colored or painted. You can also see that noted here as well. So in addition to this generic note in the middle of the room, you can also see that they have this line coming up here, going around and over to here. They're saying any wall that's between these two lines is called or is going to be finished with paint number 2. And it looks like anything past that point, we got paint 3, paint 3, paint 3, and that's going to be pretty consistent across the rest of that room until you get to here where it switches back to paint 2. So finish plans are going to give you, most times than not, they're going to tell you what base trim is used in each room. They're going to tell you what finish the walls are going to be in each room. And they're going to tell you what the floor finish is in each room as well. So you're going to see that information here. Again, other than that, this is very, very, very similar to your construction plan. And so it's mostly used just to denote finishes, though. So that's hence the finish plan name. Furniture plans, you don't really have to use these that much, but if you're curious to see what a layout looks like, the furniture plan differs from the construction plan because it actually shows you where the furniture vendor scope is going to be. So you can see like this room in the corner, for example, is pretty barren on the construction plan. Now, if you go to the furniture plan, you can see that they actually are meaning to put all these sort of temporary looking desks, or maybe not temporary desks is a good word, but like a work desk is going to be placed in this room in this corner. And that's all by the furniture vendor. So again, it doesn't really relate to us, just like the power data plan doesn't really relate to us. This is more something that if you were curious as to see what the room is going to look like, this is what you would go to see. But we're going to skip over that too, because really a lot of that does not pertain to us. Moving down the list, there's something called a partition types legend and details. So what a partition is just a fancy word for a drywall framed wall. Okay, and so when they have a partition type here, this might look a little confusing at first, but what you're looking at is if you go back to your construction plan, let's find a wall that has drywall on it, and then we'll take a look at what that wall construction looks like. So let's look at this room here, EA. I doubt that it has anything to do with electronic arts, but we'll look at this wall type here. It's 0A3. So we need to figure out what this wall construction looks like. So 0A3, we'll go back to our partition types legend. All right, and so you can see over here, there's a little key that tells you how to read these. Okay, so let's see, the first digit is going to be the fire smoke resistant rating. Assuming if it has 0, there it is right there, it is not fire rated, meaning that it's not made to withstand a fire if there's a fire in the building. Okay, so moving on to the second digit here, the B in this example. I think ours was an A if I remember right. Yep, so second digit A, you're going to look at that here, and then we're going to go to partition type tag. which should be down here. Yep, so I think this is what we're looking for. Oh, no, wait, no. Partition type A. Oh, I'm sorry. That is this here. Type A is this chart here, or this view here. And it's showing you that the wall is built with a sheet of drywall on the left and the right. Both sides of the wall get one sheet of drywall. It also tells you that it is, if it says 0A, it is not fire rated. If it said 1A, it would be 1 hour fire rated, but we're dealing with 0A here. And let's see, any other notes worth looking at here? They do tell you that metal studs are spaced 16 inches on center, which is standard for modern day construction. Most studs are going to be 16 on center in a wall. The studs are those vertical members that go inside of the wall there. And let's see, what was the last digit of 3? So the 3 pertains to the width here. So it is 0, A, 3. And so that means that that wall, the metal studs inside of that wall are 3 5/8 wide. And the overall width with drywall on top of those studs is 4 7/8. So that's what we're dealing with here. So if I was to go back to that construction plan, we know now that this wall is 4 7/8 wide or thick. So that's how to read a partition details page or a partitions legend. And that all pertains to the code that is pointing to each of the drywall walls. So as you make your way around a building, you will see that they do vary depending on where you're looking. And so you want to always kind of refer to, if you're trying to find out what that wall looks like, you do need to find the partition type legend to locate what that wall actually looks like. And this does a very great deal of detailing that out for you. Anyway, not to get too off topic, let's keep moving. So we'll keep on moving. Let's see what else is important here. When you get to door drafting, which is the final step in the process from what I have here documented for you guys, we'll be looking more at these. These are door frames and hardware legends per door. So we're not going to worry about that right now. Really important area to stop at here too, finish schedules. So finish schedules are the architects and interior designers a list of all the materials that they are using on the job. This will include materials that are not part of on-site scope as well. So don't get too confused. There are things that will not be part of our scope, like we never do tile. We never do wall covering for the most part. So if you see that on here, usually it's not us, but sometimes the estimating team will highlight these objects so that way it's easier to see what is part of our scope. Now, a lot of times you'll see these here. This information is also in the on-site material log base. So the one that we looked at earlier when we were talking about the Airtable video a while back. So those materials will also live in here. Okay, so that is the finish schedule. It can also sometimes be called the material schedule. So it will get a little confusing. You'll have to kind of differentiate as you're looking at different architects' drawings because they will label things slightly different. But as long as you kind of know the jargon of what you're trying to find, whether it's a finish, a material, more like an equipment schedule. I think the equipment schedule is up next. I click on this, it's going to tell me what all the different equipments are on the project, which includes refrigerators, dishwashers, microwaves, etc. That type of thing will fit in this schedule here. Then there's a plumbing schedule, which is going to house all the information regarding sinks and faucets and other plumbing fixtures across the building. Again, if you're looking for this information, it should always be in the architectural drawing set, but if it's not, another good place to look is going back to the architectural folder. We usually try to do a pretty good job of throwing that in the equipment cut sheets folder here, folder 4 in the architectural set. That's going to house all of the equipment and plumbing fixtures as long as it's available to us. All right, we'll keep on moving though. We'll keep this thing rolling. All right, so sometimes you will be given enlarged plan views too. Enlarged plan views are exactly what they sound like. So what they do is they take a portion of the building and they'll make a blown up view of it that's just at a more zoomed in version of the drawing, so you can show more detail of what's going on in that room. We'll talk about how to locate those on the floor plan here shortly. Those are just, again, more detailed plan views of a specific part of the building. Then you'll get into these other areas below. Sometimes you will receive renderings for a project. If you are given a rendering for a project, it's more of a concept. Do not take these to heart. These are going to be, a lot of times what happens is these renderings are made before a job is even close to being released. And so these renderings might be a little outdated by the time that we actually see these drawings and we actually get the job awarded email. So you can use them as a reference, but I would definitely recommend not using it as a hold to. Like if you have an architectural drawing that shows this desk, this rendering might be a good representation of it, but it's not going to be like worth its weight in gold. Like it's kind of, there's a reference, but you don't have to use it for, like it may not be 100% spot on to the current design of the desk, because they will update their drawings occasionally and they might not always update the renderings too. So just keep that in mind. And you get into these, which are what we call elevation views. Elevation views are going to be what it would look like if you were standing in front of the object that you are looking at. So like if you're standing in front of this line of booths and cabinets, this is going to be what's called the elevation view. So you're standing in there, you're looking straight at it. That's what you're seeing. Once you understand what an elevation view is, and you go into what a section view is. So section views are, let me go back to our elevation view here. Section views are a literal cut through of an object. So here we've got one that's called out as drawing 15 on page A902. This is a section view through a trash cabinet. If I click on this, it should take me right to it. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and pull up the drawing here. So 902. Okay. Okay. Let's see, what was that number again? 15. Okay, so if you're looking at 15, this is what they're expecting to see from the trash can section view. So this is kind of their best representation of what they would want to see. Our section view is going to vary a little bit because our cabinet construction is not the same as what they have drawn, but it won't be that drastically different. It'll be slightly different than what they show. Anyways, a section view is always going to be a cut through of an object, whether it's furniture or cabinets. It's going to be a cut through of that object to show more detail as to what's happening inside or behind that object. So that's a section view. Whoops. Okay. We will not talk about demolition plans here. There's really not much to talk about. And the rest of these are all trade shop drawings from other trades like the electrician, the plumber, and the HVAC subcontractors on the job. So we really only care about these A pages. The A pages are the architectural drawings. The rest of them are nice to have access to, but we don't really need to have them right now. They don't really do much for us other than showing us where the sinks and faucets are located and the electrical outlets. But anyways, so as we go through these drawings, let's take a look back at the first floor plan that we started with. I want to show you how to quickly navigate through an architectural drawing to find the information that you're looking for. So Let's say I was about to draw this L12 drawing. Now, this is a little confusing because there are two elevation views of L12. You have view 11 and view 12 on a 801. That's the page number, that's the view number. And so if I was going to draw L12, what I need to do is I need to pull up these two elevation views to know what I'm looking at here. So A801, we find that drawing here. And view 11 and 12. Okay, so here's 11 right here. And I'm going to do that split screen so you can see both drawings, the plan view and this view. Okay, so view 11. View 11 is facing this way. So we are currently looking at the elevation view that is these cabinets here. We can also look at view 12 here, which is on the other side of that room. That's over here. So we're going to zoom out. We're going to go find view 12, which is this guy here. So now we're standing at this location looking at these cabinets here. And then just like we talked about before, if you were looking for a section view through that cabinet for any reason, like if you wanted to see more detail about what's happening here, you just go ahead and pull up a 903 view number 7, and you can actually see what's happening in that cabinet. Move that over to here. Won't let me do it. That's okay. So that's kind of the section cut through that upper cabinet that we were just seeing here. So again, when you're doing architectural print rating, you pretty much would start with your construction plan, find the room that you're looking for. You can either do that by finding the room name or the room number, usually in these little squares. And then once you locate that, it should give you an elevation call that'll take you to the page that you're going to need to see the front of the object that you're drawing. And once you have that, that drawing will take you to other drawings, which will be your section views through those items. So again, architectural print rating, just to recap, you're mostly going to be concerned about floor plans or construction plans. You're going to probably need reflected ceiling plans occasionally, elevation views, which we're seeing here, section views, which we saw over here on this page. I do have details noted as well. Occasionally they may provide details, like for example, this particular bathroom, a different part of the building. They show, maybe that's not a great example. Well, this one here, there's a weird cabinet somewhere in the building that has an outlet in the front of it. I don't know how that's going to work, but anyway, they provided a blow-up detail of this cabinet so you could actually see how that looks. Anyways, so that would be like a detail. Really what it is a blow-up of a smaller detailed portion of the drawing that you need to actually provide more clarification on. So you're going to make a larger scale drawing of that as a detail. We talked about finishes, hardwares, equipment, and plumbing. Those are all super important. Usually you can find that information through the use of the equipment schedule in partnership with what you're seeing in your elevation view. So this particular elevation view, we see EQ7 right here. That stands for equipment number 7. So if I wanted to know what equipment 7 was, I would go to my job folder and I would look for the equipment schedule, which looks like equipment and plumbing schedule is on A640 there. So if I go and find EQ7, it tells me it's a General Electric Profile Series microwave, and I could pull up this link online and see what that microwave actually looks like. All right, so that's kind of how to locate that equipment if it's not inside of the equipment cut sheets folder there. Like we said before, there are renderings, just to recap, and sometimes you will get those, sometimes you won't. But it's important to note that those renderings may be outdated, so please take them with a grain of salt. Definitely don't try to use them as like this is exactly what they're looking for, because it might have changed since the rendering was produced. The last thing I want to talk about before we leave off with this is keynotes. So keynotes are really important. You're going to see those mostly on construction plans or floor plans. So there is a keynote legend, which is typically in one of the corners of the floor plan drawing. And as you're skimming through the floor plan, you might see these little notes like C103, C104, C105, etc. You'll see those scattered throughout the building. I don't know if there's one in particular that sticks out anywhere. Maybe not. Well, there's a C117 right here on this wall. And if I go to the keynotes, C117 says, coordinate locations of ornamental acoustic wall panels, expressed ribs, wall devices to be mounted and installed so as to not interrupt pattern, meaning that they want outlets to not be installed on top of a wood slat on that wall. Then it says see schematic 3D representations at 750 series sheets and power and data supply for more information. So keynotes are just generic notes that actually have relevant information to what it is that you're drawing. So you want to be paying close attention to that too. It's very easy to miss, but things like that might actually affect the way you're drawing something. So you want to be really careful about looking for those too. Most of the time, again, those are going to be on floor plans, but you might see them elsewhere too. You may see them occasionally on an elevation page, or you may see them on other drawings like a finished plan too. So anyways, that kind of sums up architectural print rating. There's probably going to be other questions that come up as you get into more of these practices of going through these, but for right now, we're going to leave off with that. And that kind of just sums up the general idea of what it takes to go through a print, like an architectural print set. So please let me know if you have any questions or if you run into anything where you can't locate it. I'm usually able to kind of translate an architect's language a little bit, enough to be able to get by. And if I can't do that for you, then definitely one of our project management team members can do that for you. So we'll definitely, if you got questions, we'll work through it together. So, all right.